Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Monday, March the 10th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to recover some of the previous week's losses, with ASX futures up almost 0.9%. This follows a recovery on global markets. On Friday, stocks on Wall Street rose after data showed the US economy created fewer jobs than expected last month, prompting expectations of further rate cuts. Investors were further buoyed by Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who said the US economy is in good shape. Well, the S&P 500 registered its biggest weekly percentage decline since September, down 3.1%, while the Nasdaq is in correction, having lost more than 10% since peaking in December. It fell 3.5% last week, and the Dow lost 2.4%. Stocks specifically, Hewlett-Packard shares rose after revealing its annual profit forecast would be hit by US tariffs. Broadcom shares jumped after the chipmaker sought to reassure investors about AI infrastructure demand with a strong quarter forecast. Retailer Costco fell heavily after it missed Wall Street estimates on quarterly earnings as merchandise costs increased. Well, US jobs growth picked up in February, but signs of weakness are emerging as trade policy and deep federal government spending cuts threaten economic growth. Non-farm payrolls increased by 151,000 jobs last month, which was less than forecast. Average hourly earnings rose 0.3% after climbing 0.4% in January. Annual wage growth increased at a 4.1% pace. And a drop in consumer spending and home building and a surge in the trade deficit in January linked to tariffs have stoked fears of stagflation. The Atlanta Fed is forecasting GDP contracting at 2.4% annualised rate this quarter. Meanwhile, Fed Chair Jerome Powell has said it remains to be seen if the Trump administration's tariff plans will prove to be inflationary, but said officials don't need to rush to adjust policy, saying despite elevated levels of uncertainty, the US economy continues to be in a good place. We do not need to be in a hurry, and we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity. Well, the US two-year Treasury yield rose from 3.94 to 4%, while the 10-year rose to 4.21%. And the US dollar has fallen to multi-month lows against the euro and yen and fell against most currencies on Friday following the softer than expected labour market data. The Aussie is at 63.1 US cents. And Bitcoin has continued to fall to be trading around 82,000 US dollars as the first ever US presidential crypto summit ended with promises of stablecoin legislation and lower regulatory resistance. Well, oil prices gained on Friday but retreated from session highs after President Trump threatened sanctions on Russia if it fails to reach a ceasefire with Ukraine. Brent crude futures at $70 a barrel, that's up more than 1%. Copper fell 2%, iron ore rose around 1/3% to $102 a tonne, and gold little changed at $2,911 an ounce, but gained more than 1.5% for the week, with China having continued its gold purchases. Now, locally this week, we get Westpac's Consumer Confidence Index for March tomorrow, along with NAB's Business Survey for February, as well as a read on total home values for the December quarter. Thursday sees monthly business turnover for January. Overseas, China's consumer inflation has come in lower than forecast, contracting 0.7% year on year. China also updates its credit growth this week. Tuesday sees US job openings for January, and on Wednesday, the US Consumer Price Index for February is released with producer prices the following day. And the US federal budget balance of February is released, and the Bank of Canada makes its interest rate decision. Among those stocks trading ex-dividend today are CSL, Nine Entertainment, Perseus Mining, Seven Group and Super Retail Group. That is your day ahead. See you again tomorrow.